What's going on, fellow A plusers? It's your boy Adam Perez. We're back once again with a brand new video for you guys today. What's going on, Stuart? How's it going, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Going pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm excellent, man. Ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a video today. Listen, the month of July has wrapped. We're in the middle of August. We're saying farewell. We're saying farewell to a Fantastic Four movie and a Superman movie. We got a box office to certainly talk about here tonight. We haven't really had the opportunity to sit down, Stuart, and talk about what this summer was in regards to July with Jurassic World Rebirth, Superman, and Fantastic Four. This is our time to actually talk about it finally, man. I feel like besides Hero Report, we haven't really had the opportunity to just have a show to discuss our thoughts on how we felt about really the hype and the buildup of the summertime for this year. How's it going, man? Are you excited to talk about it tonight? What's going on?
I'm definitely excited to talk about it. Yeah, it's been a crazy. I can tell you, just in terms of business, it's been absolutely crazy this last July at the movie theater. Yeah, the three big movies. Obviously, two of them are going to be the main topic of this video, which would be Superman and Fantastic Four. But then you also had Jurassic Park Rebirth. All of it, yeah, like have been doing incredible box office numbers, and not to mention, it's just especially between Superman and Fantastic Four, the audiences that I've seen like leaving these theaters, are like essentially I haven't seen that many people leaving disappointed. I've seen everyone just going in having a great time with these movies. And it's especially great to have these coming out at a time where everyone really believes that superhero fatigue is kind of taken over, and maybe it has to an extent. And it's great to have these two movies as kind of things to like spice things up and remind audiences that superhero movies can still be interesting and a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. People definitely came out. I mean, I was hearing stories of people seeing this movie like four times, seven times, like 13 times. Like what? I mean, both of these movies I feel got like their fair share play of, replay value for sure over the entire month of July, and still, still people still watching them right now as they're currently still in theaters. But it there was a great energy around it for sure. Something like I felt like we hadn't really had in a long time, in the sense of two back-to-back bangers, in a sense, right? Like I don't know if anybody walked away thinking, man, those movies were terrible. I think everybody sort of like really had like some level of enjoyment out of both movies. The vibes that I've kind of been getting from it. I mean, now each movie is going to be a little bit more scrutinized now the further we get away, but I was really enjoying the energy this time of year, man, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I've been seeing people making like really fun comparisons with these movies. And what's great is that it's usually not them comparing it to like the last movie that came out, like you normally kind of get with especially Marvel movies. The most common comparison is, well, how was this compared to the previous Marvel movie? But with Fantastic Four, what I like is that people aren't really just comparing it to like other versions of Fantastic Four or the previous movie, which was Thunderbolts. They aren't just like comparing it to Thunderbolts and other Fantastic Four movies. They're comparing it to other superhero franchises. Like the one that gets compared to the most, of course, is probably The Incredibles. And in fact, I would actually kind of say you could say the same thing about Superman in terms of its comparison with The Incredibles. But I'd say like Fantastic Four feels very comparable to Incredibles in terms of like its themes. But like Superman feels very much parable to The Incredibles in terms of its like overall kind of world building. The same way The Incredibles just kind of like threw you into this superhero fantasy world, the way that Superman does. So I kind of like that, because it's a great movie. That I thought the sequel was okay, but that first movie that came out like years ago was so great, and it's just it's something that like it doesn't get talked about as much in this kind of like modern world of like other superhero films that we've gotten out there. But it's kind of cool that these two new movies that are like, big parts in upcoming franchises are really what's kind of reminding people about what came before. And yeah, just again, kind of reminding people that a superhero movie doesn't have to have one specific theme, doesn't always have to be kind of the same plot over and over. Like you can still have some really great creative ideas that go with them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Before we get into our discussion here for tonight, I did want to go ahead and bring up some news that just dropped as we were recording this for you guys. James Gunn, I guess they're on their press tour right now. Stewart for Peacemaker, because Peacemaker set to go ahead and drop. What is it, next week or like the 22nd or 21st or
I
something?
think the 21st, if I remember correctly.
So yeah, they're doing their rounds. So James Gunn's getting in front of microphones and saying things, and people are getting hints as to what the DCU universe's future has in store. Hollywood Reporter just dropped this little nugget here. Let's go ahead and share this. Um, Make sure the volume's on. Oh no.
I've already finished the treatment for the next story in what I'll call the Superman saga. The treatment's done, which is means a very very worked out treatment, and I'm working on that, and hopefully going into production on that. Not too far away from today. I've
So he's referring to this as a Superman saga per se. Kind of reminds me of that of Matt Reeves' Batman saga,
Yeah.
just in the sense of the world building that they're kind of creating here. What do you think about when he says he's got the structure of it?
Oh, I'm pretty sure what he means by that because he talks about before like his kind of writing process, and what he does is he has like basically kind of the outline of the three-act structure, and then within that outline he usually puts like a note on after each part of the three-act structure. What is it that the character is supposed to learn at this point in the story? And then from that he ends up kind of doing the script. I think this has probably changed because this interview was probably, I want to say, during Guardians of the Galaxy, and given how much, or like the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, and given how much he's written since then, including, several different TV shows now with the two seasons of Peacemaker and Creature Commando, and then of course Superman, and probably other movies in the works. I assume he writes more than this, but he would say that he would write 5 pages a day, with that once he had that structure. So I think what he's going on is that he has the skeleton outline of the structure, the three acts, and then the notes on what he plan, how the story progresses within each act. But I would be curious though if he's also like started any of the script itself.
So you think the Superman saga is like the main arc to this kind of universe? Like, do you think that includes things like Lanterns, Supergirl, Peacemaker, or do you think like they're structure in the sense of like Superman appears in these sort of I guess I don't want to say sequels per se, but yeah, maybe like other films um as like I don't want to say like a mini arc, but like the main arc to the other movies that might not necessarily be connected to Superman, you know what I'm saying?
I think what it is that the Gods and Monsters chapters is going to be its own arc within itself, its own like kind of saga within itself. But within that saga, you have other multiple sagas that are going to be going on. So you'll have the Superman saga, which will contain
Gotcha.
like his, the first movie. And then I don't think it'll necessarily include other appearances that he makes. I think it's only going to include the appearances in which he's like the main character or in which he's getting an arc. I think it's really just going to kind of refer to Superman's own journey. So it'll be his super saga. Even if he's in Supergirl, I don't think that'll be considered part of the Superman saga. I think it'll be like his, but the next movie, which is rumored to be the Super Family movie, which would feature both of them and
I
Crypto
see what
and
you mean.
who knows who else,
That
that
might
would
be.
probably be part of the Superman saga. Because I would imagine if he's in a movie like that, he's probably gonna, his story is gonna likely continue.
So I guess I guess that does make me interested a little bit more in what he was saying in the sense that he's writing a Superman. It's not necessarily a sequel per se, because I guess it would necessarily. I don't know. I guess maybe the next adventure under is a different name or different title or different disguise isn't necessarily a sequel, but it kind of is. It kind of fits that in between kind of thing. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But I just thought it was interesting that he definitely has big plans and he's got that kind of figured out. And we'll see what the future holds. But
Definitely.
definitely a good start for sure.
Mhm.
You gonna say something, Stuart? I cut
Oh,
you off.
no, no, I was just, yeah, nodding, agreeing. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Um, But yeah, man, look, I want to talk about both these movies with somebody else besides myself in my mirror. I've talked a little bit with my friend Jonathan after seeing Fantastic Four with him on my second viewing, and then just a little bit with Cindy. But outside of that, just any kind of moments that might have been brought up here on the show. So I thought it'd be pretty cool to kind of talk about Superman today, along with Fantastic Four, get kind of both our perspectives, and really who we personally think won the summer, and at least in regards to who we thought was the better movie.
Yeah, if we're
Um,
going with who objectively won, that goes to Jurassic World.
yeah, yeah, it'll
In
be
terms
fun.
of box office, nothing
Box
else.
office. Yeah, it'll be fun. We'll talk about predictions after we discuss this too. But let's talk a little bit about Superman first. Look, Stuart, this was like our most anticipated movie of the year. There's always pressure in regards to, okay, man, for me, I'm like, all right, Superman, I picked you, buddy. Like, don't don't let me down. But a lot of excitement, a lot of buzz. I had a fun time with this movie. How did you like the movie? I gotta have you tell me what was your experience like after you left. How did you feel about this film? And how many times
Man.
have you seen it?
Oh, I have seen this now 3 times.
Nice. Okay.
And yeah, so, uh, obviously, I think I've mentioned it on the show before, I absolutely loved Superman, like, a lot. This is not only my favorite Superman movie, but, I think David Cornsweet is now, it's like him and Tyler Hoechlin, I don't know, man, they're like neck and neck as, like, my 2 favorite Supermen. I love how, actually, because the last Superman we got was, of course, Superman and Lois, which I gushed about how much I absolutely love that show so many times. I think I had like an unhealthy obsession for it for a while. But like it was such a great show because it gave us like a very grounded Superman in the sense of like, this is a man who still wants to do right by everyone, but he also has to learn that he has to take care of himself as well as along with his family. Like he can't save the world if he's not also there for the people, that he loves. And I like how we get a seasoned Superman, one that's been around for a while, but he's also, even though I still think this was kind of a bad part on the show, I do kind of like in retrospect how it also helps it kind of contrast with the current Superman that we have. But with Superman and Lois being in a universe that Superman is the only superhero, within that universe, it does kind of add another really cool like contrast to the one that we got now, which is the fact that, unlike the Tyler Hoechlin Superman, David Korn Superman is very new. He's only been around for 3 years. He hasn't matured in the same way Tyler Hoechlin has. He doesn't, he hasn't settled down yet the same way Tyler Hoechlin has. And then on top of that, unlike Tyler Hoechlin, who lived in a world where he was the only hero, David Cornsweet now lives in a world where superheroes have been around for 300 years, and it's already you can see that there's this friction between the public and other metahumans. But now you add the fact that now we have this new metahuman who is like more powerful than anything that people have seen. And it just kind of like it just makes the world feel so much more lived in, feels so much more when I go into the next DC movie, I'm not just looking forward to seeing how the movie as a standalone, but I'm looking forward to seeing like how it that movie fits into this world. A lot like with the MCU, but with the MCU, it was interesting because they very much started it kind of more grounded with the first Iron Man movie. Like apart from like a couple of fictional names, like of course Shield, and then of course the Ten Rings, it almost felt like it could have existed within the real world itself. And it wasn't until like over time, every movie that they introduced, the more fantastical the Marvel universe would feel. But I like how with this one they don't bother with kind of like turning a kind of grounded in reality universe into a fantasy universe, or like we're throwing you right into this fantasy universe. Absolutely love that. I love how just the movie kind of makes me feel about, just not just people as a whole, but like the idea of like, kindness being a really cool thing. The fact that they refer to kindness as punk rock is it was a line that should have been so cringe, but the way it was delivered, it was still cheesy. Don't get me wrong, but like it was just delivered with so much sincerity that there were so many things in this movie that feel like on paper would sound so cringe when you say it out loud. But I mean, the way it's delivered with so much sincerity,
I
it just
chuckled.
gives, yeah,
It got me for sure.
yeah,
I would agree it was cheesy, but I was just like, "That's really smooth." Like, and to the point to where it's like, I almost feel like it's becoming a thing now. I think the way he delivered
yeah.
it has allowed it to become a thing to some people now.
It has, and I mean, like, I go on TikTok a lot now, every now and then, and I see so many people like using, the end credit song like in their videos. I
Mhm.
see so many people quoting the fact that being kind is punk rock, and it's like
Yeah.
the fact that this movie has actually just given so much optimism to people, and I don't just mean like comic book fans. I mean just like any moviegoer seeing this movie, you just get this real big sense of optimism that comes from people that sees that, and I haven't seen a movie do this to people in so long, and maybe it's because I haven't looked. Maybe I guess I could kind of say that I've seen that with Barbie actually. So I'll kind of take that back. I did see a lot of, especially women coming out of the Barbie movie. A lot of them kind of having that same kind of optimistic kind of view that people like everyone is kind of having coming out of Superman. I did not mean for that to sound like I was saying women aren't people. What I meant was the way both genders are coming out of Superman compared to Barbie, where it
Barbie,
was
right.
mostly women coming out with.
Mhm.
Yeah, I swear, guys, I'm not sexist. That was not meant to sound that way. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like, I love how I feel watching this movie, and I think a lot of that has to do with not only the writing, but just again how David Cornsweet delivers it in just such a sincere way. Like, you get the feeling that like he himself kind of buys into this ideology that Superman is kind of like given to us in the movie itself. Because he's just so believable when he sells it.
Actually really excited that this movie is gonna be coming to digital really soon. I may not own it or anything like that, but I do want to see it again. I have had the opportunity to see it twice now. I wanted to go ahead and try and catch it a third time in IMAX 3D, but I went too late because Fantastic Four had taken over,
Mm.
and so I missed the cutoff of being able to see it. And I wanted to see it in on IMAX 3D. Um, I remember James Gunn mentioned how great it was on 3D, so I was like, "Oh, I'll give it a shot," but I missed it. So I do wanna watch it again, and I feel like, especially because my little boy is in a Superman phase right now, I feel like it's gonna be on rotation in my in my
Oh
house.
yeah.
And so, I have I when I always thought Superman also was gonna translate really well to the small screen. And I think it's gonna get a ton of replay value and views, dude, for sure. So yeah, this movie's gonna be gangbusters. But no, I totally agree with you. There is a sense of like wonder and hopefulness, and like everywhere I look, it feels like there are people that absolutely love this movie. And I'm like, and I love that it's making people feel that way, in regards to just how good they certainly thought it was, but just the message that it's the message that it's giving out. And so they also, if I don't know if you saw this or not, Stuart, if you saw this or not, but they released the behind the scenes footage
Yes.
of the monologue, right? And you know, I you could definitely feel the emotion in the movie, but now that they've kind of released that, it really adds like a whole nother layer on top of what I watched, just to reinforce how good the movie really is. And to be able to see those 2 have that discussion, like every actor and director should be able to have discussions in regards to, like this is just them being professional and doing, what a good collaborative team of director and actors go through, the passion of trying to understand this moment and how important it is to be able to then go ahead and deliver the way that he does. It just adds so much more to that scene thinking about it again. So I really want to see it a third time, because every time that I have seen this movie, there's more that I notice, and it continues to grow on me more and more. But yeah, man, this is a incredible film. For me personally, I think the idea of, like you mentioned, just the beginning of the DC universe, I love being thrusted into this world. And to me, the opening crawl of the movie immediately sucked me in. I got the Star Wars vibes, right? Of the idea that there's things going on in this universe, and this is a particular moment that we're being sort of like dropped into. But I also love just the idea of breaking down sort of Superman's journey and the cool like three scheme that they had kind of going. And even getting to the point of, setting up sort of the tone and the mental state of Superman, with letting us know, not only how long he's been doing this, the fact that he's been undefeated until today, now he's trying to, you know, he's been defeated for the very first time, sort of thing. There's a lot of things that are certainly going on with this man, and so I really enjoyed how the opening crawl worked for this in regards to just sort of establishing the world, along with the idea that it's just normal to have, kaiju running around, or a dimensional imp in the background. Don't worry, they'll take care of it. Like it's just everyday business for them. But it was just such a lively, bold, and bright world, with some really great characters, to made me want to be a part of this world. Like I when I did my review, one of the things that I said was like, look, can I get crushed by a kaiju any day of the week? Absolutely. But I would love to just live in that world where there's just superheroes everywhere just saving people. Like it just, I don't know. He just really did a great job of creating this universe, I thought.
I would definitely agree with that. Um God, what was I gonna say? Because yeah, the whole thing too with yeah, the thing I love though of why I could see why people still feel comfortable living in this world is because they know that, like, as we kind of like see in the action scenes, that Superman, he may not be perfect, but he will do his damnedest to make sure that like there's as few like casualties as possible, which I absolutely love. Um
I do find it funny that the whole saving the squirrel thing has triggered some people.
Yeah,
Like,
I've seen some funny
like,
memes where someone will take the Kevin Costner scene from, Man of Steel, but they'll, like, have the squirrel, like, doing that exact pose of, like, "No."
one of the things I thought about going into this movie was, are they going to recreate sort of like the original cat scene from the Superman, where he saves the cat out of the tree and gives it to the girl? This is equivalent to that for me. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, there it is. Like he literally is saving, just like everything matters. to him, and it just spoke volumes in regards to his personality. And I totally agree with you. I think David Gordon Sweat just did a phenomenal job in that role. I really would have liked to have seen him a little bit more as Clark. I'm not gonna lie.
Mhm.
You know,
I would actually say that was one aspect of the movie I was like kind of disappointed with because we had that really fun scene with him and the Daily Planet. It felt like a kind of a perfect setup to where it's like I would love to see his chemistry bounce off these characters more. But we only got like one scene with him and Jimmy, one scene with him and Steve Lombard. I don't think we even had a scene with him and or I guess Kat said she liked his article at one point, like when he was walking
oh
in,
yeah.
but like yeah, like there was just a it felt like that's one aspect where there was a little missed opportunity is all.
Yeah, I mean, I know we saw him with Pa as himself. Well, I guess that's as more like as Kal-El, but well, Clark. I would guess it would be Clark. But I would have loved to have seen him in that more performative role of actual Clark Kent reporter. You know what I mean? But or doing some investigative work with Lois or something like that. I don't know
Mhm.
what I was hoping for, but just a little bit more Clark would have gone a long way. But other than that, I think he absolutely nailed this role, man. I love his passion for this character, and it's definitely coming through in Superman for sure. But yeah, man, I had a good time with this movie. The action was great. The supporting cast I thought was absolutely incredible. I really fell in love with all the characters. I mean, besides the MVP that we all know this movie had, was Mr. Terrific for sure, or at least he was my MVP. I mean, Rachel Brosnahan as Lois, I thought was fantastic in this movie. Guy Gardner, played by Nathan Fillion, I thought was just chef's kiss, just absolutely like I wasn't sure like what he was gonna give me, but especially his back and forth with Lois just completely sold it for me too. But I thought he nailed his role. I really wanted a little bit more Hawk Girl, but hopefully she'll get developed a little bit more down the road. She's gonna be in the Peacemaker season 2, probably very briefly. Um, and I feel like I might be missing somebody. But Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor,
Oh yeah.
fucking murdered it. My man just absolutely killed it. So I mean, I adored like all the characters in this movie, man.
Yeah, with what was amazing about like Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor is yeah, like he gave us a character that you really, really love to hate in this whole movie. Like, yeah, just no notes. It was just yeah, it was a great performance. It's like funny actually. Sorry, I do have a note because this was like something that I feel like they've tried to do twice now. The first time they did a terrible job, to my opinion. I know Jesse Eisenberg has some of his fans, and he's a great actor. He just was not the actor I think that worked for Lex
Yeah.
Luthor. And that was like the first time they tried to do the tech bro billionaire version of Lex Luthor. It just did not work. So seeing then seeing in My Adventures with Superman them trying that exact thing, but like I think they built it up a lot better, gave us like a reason to like actually kind of get where this version of Lex Luthor is coming from. I kind of liked how they did it in My Adventures with Superman. I'm also glad that My Adventures Superman I would say jogged so that this movie could run. So when I saw that they were once again going with tech bro billionaire version of Lex Luthor, you know, I was worried at first, but like no, the way he played it, it was that perfect mixture of while it did feel modern in that sense, you could definitely see aspects of many different like comic book versions of Lex Luthor playing into this version of the character, and he brought so many of them to life. I remember seeing an interview with James Gunn, and he was talking about how Michael Rosenbaum was his personal favorite Lex
Oh,
Luthor.
yeah.
And you can definitely see aspects of even like Michael Rosenbaum's Lex Luthor within this. I mean, even the
Oh,
fact
yeah.
that they
Yeah.
named it Lex Core instead of Luthor Core, like straight out of Smallville, I think that was pretty cool. And it also like it's great because it brings it adds more room for flexibility of how they can like adapt the world, morph it like as it continues to grow. Like maybe it was called LexCorp because his dad founded the company just like in Smallville. Maybe just Lex ego is just that big, or maybe Lex's ego just hasn't fully developed as much as it's about to. Who knows?
Um, Mr. Terrific, Eddie, played by Eddie Gathegi in here, was absolutely wonderful.
Mhm.
Um, I hope I have a feeling he's gonna get either his own movie or his own team movie. There was a long time ago, James Gunn went ahead and teased the Terrifics cover with him, Metamorpho, I think it was Plastic Man also, and like somebody else was on the team. And so I don't know, maybe they wind up giving him a team movie. I think that'd be kind of dope to kind of see developed in there. But he really, I think he really stood out to me, man. He smushes the man's face. I'm goddamn Mr.
Mr.
Terrific.
Terrific.
Oh, yo.
I loved him like Eddie Gazegi in this movie. A lot of people were talking about how he kind of got the shaft end in X-Men First Class. And this feels like a giant like apology, like, or I don't want to say apology because it's not like James Gunn had anything to do with X-Men First Class, but he definitely seems like kind of his moment to really shine in a superhero film. And
Yeah.
I would be shocked if he didn't get like, if not a solo movie, I could definitely, like you said, see a team up movie. Mostly because like we see in the teaser for Peacemaker season 2, we see the Justice Gang, but not Mr. Terrific, making me think that I
Mm.
wouldn't doubt if he was just like, screw this team, screw Maxwell Lord, he's kind of a douchebag.
Maybe that's I mean, it could be why they're trying to get members.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe it's not like they're just adding, but they're losing, so they have to, add by subtraction. So yeah, that's I'd be interested to see if that how if they explain a little bit more than what we've seen in the trailer. I hope there's more. But yeah, this world just feels lived in. It feels ready to explore. Like I'm excited to see Supergirl after this movie. I thought the cameo was damn near perfect. I almost forgot she was even in this movie, or to expect her. Like I was just on this roller coaster ride of a movie, which I thought the pacing was relatively quick. It felt really quick to me. And then Millie Alcock, Supergirl, pops up at the end looking for her dog. And then you realize even further what type of relationship Crypto and Superman have, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like it solved the one last piece of the puzzle to kind of make the movie hit a little bit different at the end. But not only that, but just seeing the relationship that to me, first off, the personality that they're going with for Supergirl, fantastic. I was not expecting it. And then just the Crypto and Supergirl connection and their roughhousing as he's like slamming her against the, the concrete. It's just to me, it was just pure perfection. And I'm like, yeah, I want to go on an adventure with them. So I'm glad that we're picking up right where we left off at. I wonder if Superman will pop up at the end of Supergirl. Like, come on, we
I
gotta go.
think I think there was something about there being set photos in which David Cornsweet was like on set for Supergirl. But
Mm.
I imagine it's going to be like, for like either the ending or the very beginning of the movie. I could see it being either or. But yeah, I definitely don't see him playing like a big role in the movie.
Maybe like, hey, come on, I need you. Like, let's go. Get your stuff together. Let's get out of here. We gotta go. And you're like, oh, I wonder where they're off to. And then we got that. Ah, ah,
Oh yeah, and so then that
maybe.
sets up the next Super Family movie.
There we go. There we go. So we'll
uh
see. We'll see. But
yes.
yeah, overall, man, I had a lot of fun with this movie. I am jealous I haven't seen it a third time. I want to see it a third time. Because I do think that it's a movie that will continue to grow on me even more. And so that's kind of exciting. And I almost think that like because it's good, give me like 6 months, bro. Like when Superman becomes available for free, okay, give me like 6 months after that, and I can almost guarantee you, since we're gonna have it on repeat in this house, just watching it so much over and over and over and over again is gonna like really cement it as like, yeah, this was the best movie of all time. Like
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I end up actually like putting this as one of my more favorite movies like ever over time, only because like
yeah.
every time I've seen this movie, I find something new to enjoy about it.
I feel you there. This is definitely it is such a lush world that it is easy to like find a little bits of things here and there. And I agree with you with the relationship. The relationship for me between them and Lois and Clark really was fantastic in regards to just um, the dialogue between the both of them, the emotion that they wind up bringing. He has a line that he delivers in the scene when he well, anyway, their relationship, I actually wanted to see, like, another scene between them. Like, I really wanted to see more of them together. They just really worked for me, to be honest with you. But, yeah, some of the more emotional moments of this movie. How'd you feel about the relationship?
Oh, I absolutely love the relationship between like Clark and Lois. Like, for one, I love the fact that they weren't like a perfect couple in this movie in the very beginning of it. You know, because we got to see the relationship kind of grow as the movie developed. I thought their chemistry was just so perfect together, and I think that it was especially great in that begin. I think the you know what's so funny is I think my favorite scene in the whole movie is the interview scene because you not only get a really cool insight to Lois and Clark Kent's like personalities, but you get like insight into the relationship. Just and it feels so natural because I love how it constantly goes from professional interview as Lois and Superman, and then it constantly switches to Lois and Clark kind of arguing while having this interview, and then Lois constantly having to remind him this is on the record. But yeah, no, I think that yeah, their on-screen chemistry was so perfect because of like how incomplete it was at first, and so I like how it takes time to develop. Um, and yeah.
Yeah, no, it absolutely worked for me also. All right. So we had Superman that dropped, and then literally like 2 weeks later, like a freight train, in comes the Fantastic Four, baby. Fantastic Four. Brand new Marvel Studios movie that wind up dropping. Um, Man, Stuart, this was like a momentum builder here. From all the hype behind Superman, sort of now that momentum, Marvel Studios coming in, catching that wave of like pure nerddom enjoyment, and Fantastic Four hits us, and people go to the movies to check this movie out, man. I really adored this movie. I really adored this movie, Stuart. For me, I think I don't and you know, a movie is always, I guess, what you take away from it. And for me, the idea of being a family guy now, having a son myself, my girlfriend Cindy, I really look to her like as my wife, but we like the idea of like having a child late in your life, unexpected sort of thing, the sacrifices one sort of makes, like all of those themes, the concept of like family, not just for like you know what I certainly have, but the idea of like family as society in regards to looking out for one another, not turning completely barbaric on each other, like we're not each other's enemy, you know what I mean? Like just the idea of like if we work together, we can really accomplish sort of like anything. I just, that idea of understanding y- society is family. And so I don't know, I just really gravitated towards those themes. And then I had the fantastic performance of Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal. I really appreciated Joseph Quinn as Johnny Storm in here too. I probably wanted a little bit more thing, but overall, like their combination all just really, really worked for me. And I was a really big fan of just the family vibes that they were certainly giving off, the performances that they certainly were giving. I appreciated Johnny being kind of brilliant also, in sort of like being in other people's shadow sort of thing. But like, I don't know, they just give you a really cool perspective of Johnny Storm in this movie to me. But so yeah, the performances were absolutely great. I thought everybody really nailed their character for the most part. And then the action was big. I thought Galactus, especially if you see this movie on like IMAX, I mean, man, he's the dude. Like, it's really cool visually. I personally think just what they were able to pull off, but action pieces I thought were really, really well. And similar to what you said earlier, Stuart, about Superman, um, thrusting you into the DC Universe world sort of thing. And kind of, building upon that, like, I think Fantastic Four also did a really good job in doing that too, in regards to that first, 5-10 minutes, like you said, right? Where the talk show host is giving us a recap of their lives, and you get to see how prominent they are, and you learn about them, really briefly, but you see that they're like adventures that they've been on, the mole man that they've encountered, the apes and stuff, right? Like, we got a sense of the action immediately when we jumped into this movie and in this world, and it immediately established it. Very similar to what Superman did, but like in a visually completely different way. And so, like, or at least that's how I certainly felt about it a little bit. But I don't know. Like, I felt like I really enjoyed the retro futuristic world that they wind up creating. I thought the threat certainly felt there. I felt Silver Surfer was handled a lot better than I did. Well, I don't want to say a lot better. I didn't know how they were going to handle her, but I was really impressed with this movie. I had a really fun time with this film. I saw it twice. I know some people say this movie doesn't have any replay value, but I mean, I get the idea that there are highs and lows, but I think also at the same time, like, I saw it twice and I still walked away really enjoying it. I wanted it to see it a third time, but not as much as I wanted to see Superman a third time for sure. Um, but yeah, I had a blast with this movie, Stuart. How about you, man? I think you're muted.
I 100% agree. I had a huge blast with this. Like you said, thrusting us into a brand new world. I think I was concerned going into it because I do remember being really shocked that they were like putting this not in the MCU, putting it in its own separate universe. And I thought like that was a really weird decision. Until seeing the trailer and seeing, oh wait, no, this is because this is a completely different world that this is taking place in, like a different type of environment, different type of world. I was expecting it to just simply be a period piece, but then the moment you get that really cool retro futuristic setting, it's like, okay, this suddenly, makes so much more sense. I like, it kind of reminds me of how, like, James Gunn was saying that he doesn't want everything to have to be tied to the DCU. If there's an important story to tell that cannot possibly exist in the DCU, he wants to give, people the creativity to do that with the Elseworld storylines. And I like the fact that Marvel also seems to be going this direction, while still keeping things connected with the multiverse. We see like in Deadpool, they didn't just try to retcon Deadpool into the MCU. They still had him being in that universe that was established through the Fox era of X-Men, and now we have this new universe with the Fantastic Four. And again, like it wasn't just like a universe created so they didn't have to worry about not interrupting continuity. It was a universe created because it felt like that's the world that needed to exist for this story to be told. Um, and I think that, just the movie itself was absolutely fantastic, pun intended. But like, I think that in terms of its family dynamics, great character chemistry between everyone. I especially got to give some shout outs to Joseph Quinn, who just played off of everyone in his own, like, I like how he kind of had a unique way that he played off of everyone. It was different. He never treated anyone like exactly the same. Not to say he treated people better than others, but he always had like kind of a fun dynamic that was different from all of them. And I absolutely loved that about him. I like how before the movie came out, fans were already ready to hate this guy because the actor himself said that, Johnny Storm wasn't going to be as sexist as he has been in other adaptations. But I still think they played off of his horniness pretty well, and it kind of worked for the plot too. Like funny enough, and I love, like, what you said about him also being pretty brilliant. They don't play him as like kind of an idiot like they did in the Fantastic Four movies with Chris Evans as the Human Torch. They make him still kind of that fun, like slightly arrogant kind of character, but they, make it so it's very clear this guy is also really smart. Like there was a reason he was chosen to go into space, and it wasn't just, I think like what it was because he was a sister of Sue Storm in the original Fantastic Four movie. But here it's like, you can actually see why someone like this would have been selected. And Yeah, so I think that in terms of visual effects, I feel the same way that I've been feeling about a lot of Marvel movies, which is that they're mixed. At times, the visual effects look incredible. Like I think the fact that they use practical effects for Galactus, and that there's like an actual miniature city that he's destroying, I think it looks absolutely amazing. Um, I think that for the most part, the Human Torch always looked good throughout the whole movie. The one that kind of disappointed me, though, a little bit was the Thing. Even though he looked great in a lot of shots, there were some. Now that I've seen the movie as a whole, I think before I was talking about how incredible he looked before I had a chance to see it all the way through. But now that I've seen it all the way through, there are definitely shots where it feels really weird. And it's weird too because they had an actual costume like for the Thing, so I thought his would have looked the most consistent. But there were times where I feel like for example, the scene where he's lifting the car, or just something about it. And I'm not enough of a VFX artist to give exact specific notes on why it didn't completely work, but there were just some specific shots that just didn't work as much.
I think it was the smile that he gives to the kids when he lifts up the car sort of thing.
Oh, you think it was the smile that gave it away?
Yeah, it was weird to me. The smile was weird to
Yeah.
me.
But yeah, other than the mixed CG, I think that like in this movie, there isn't really anything I can say that was wrong with this movie. Like I think, it's like even though we're comparing Superman and Fantastic Four, and me, I'm taking the side of Superman, it's not like I can really say there's anything that Fantastic Four does that's bad that like ruins it as a whole. I had a nitpick about the way they ended things during the climax, but I don't think it was like a nitpick that really takes me out of the film. I just think that my only complaint with this movie is really just during the climax when we get them fighting Galactus, we see the Fantastic Four, supposedly being pushed to their limits. And I think the problem is that we never really established what their limits were earlier. So, like for example, when we see Sue
Mm,
Storm like using all of her might, they're like, "No, don't do that. The effort will kill you." And it's like, well, it's hard for me to be on the edge of my seat for this because we didn't know that using too much of her powers would kill her because that was never brought up in the movie. Same with when Galactus is stretching Mr. Fantastic, because in the comic books he can stretch really, 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 really far. So I'm like, oh, that's not too bad, is it? And it's apparently it's enough to make him pass out, basically, even though it's like maybe this far that he stretches him. And I'm like, oh, so that's his limit. And I would have been okay with that if we had seen something earlier, like in the movie, like maybe him
mm,
reaching and barely being able to grab something as it's like
mm.
falling off somewhere, and him going like, oh, I barely got it, or something like that. Just
I
anything to
gotcha.
let us know that, oh, him stretching him this far is actually really painful, instead of us learning as it's happening. I think that was my only problem, was really just the climax, and it was only because we were really only just now learning the limits of their powers during the climax instead of having it established earlier.
No, I totally definitely vibe with that for sure a little bit because I did have I didn't have so much a problem with the Reed Richards one so much as I did the Sue Storm. And while I do agree the idea of maybe like for Mr. Fantastic, the idea of showcasing his abilities, so we can get the idea of like realizing like what is their power capacity. Um, I don't know, for some reason, two things. One, the ability of Sue didn't bother me so much. What did bother me was the false death of Sue.
Mm.
Like that bothered me. Like I didn't like I'm like, why? Like why? We know she's not dead. Like we know she's like we know something's gonna happen. Like they're not gonna kill off Sue, you know?
Mhm.
So I don't know. It didn't I you know, I know it's a movie, but it ruined believability for me. You know what I mean? A little bit. Um so yeah, anyway, outside of that though. But yeah, I would say for me I enjoyed the special effects in here. The Silver Surfer, especially the space chase scene for me, I think cinematically was one of the best things I've seen all year.
Mm.
Um it might be second best, but it was yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty intense. I felt pretty it was a pretty intense moment. And I'm surfing the black hole and stuff. I was a big fan of that whole chase sequence.
I agree. That whole scene where, like, not only, like, the chase, but even the build up to the chase, like, with them
Yeah,
meeting up with Galactus, because like,
yeah,
this entire time that's what put me on the edge of my seat more than the climax, is them, like, having their very first meeting, with
yeah.
Galactus because,
That metal act is
us
crazy.
I think they wrote that scene knowing that people, know who this character is, it felt like very much like even people who don't read comic books have at least heard of Galactus, so it feels like they wrote this scene knowing that, like, audiences were gonna be like, "Ooh, how are they gonna handle a meeting with a character like this?"
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. But yeah, so we had Fantastic Four that wind up dropping. Hopefully carrying the momentum of not only Thunderbolts, but also Superman as well. And both movies came and went, Stuart. And I guess overall, though, when it comes to who we felt won the summer, Superman versus Fantastic Four, which one we thought was the better movie, you said you're going with Superman, right?
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with Fantastic Four, though, for me personally.
Yeah.
Barely. These are two really great films, honestly. And I could probably talk about them all day, to be quite frank with you. But for me, um, well, do you want to go first as to why you like Superman more than Fantastic Four, or do you want me to
Um,
go first?
I'll go first just 'cause, I'll actually, you know what? I'll let you go first.
Yeah, no, I think for me, only reasons why, for me, I enjoy Fantastic Four just a little bit more. Um, Similar to what we talked about in regards to like world building. Um, for me, I just enjoyed how Fantastic Four handled it a little bit more. I think they did the same things, but I think Fantastic Four made it a little bit more flashy for me in regards to immediately feeling thrusted into this world of just kind of knowing what's kind of going on sort of thing. Like the idea of the text, the scrolls, while I think that's a benefit for Superman, I also think it hurts it in a sense that they told, and I wish they had showed a little bit more of some of those things in the text, similar to what I thought Fantastic Four did really well, to kind of set it up, because I think Superman relies a lot more on um um the text in the beginning, so you got to read all this information. You got the interview, which is a big exposition dump sort of thing that you got to sort of like take in also, and then you got to start trying to figure out like it felt like a lot of information had to be intaken, whereas I think Fantastic Four set it up just so much more smoothly to be a part of this earth and totally understand everything that's going on with these characters and just dive right into the story. So I just think from a story perspective of jumping into the world, I thought Fantastic Four really did it for me a lot smoother.
Mhm.
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, like I would definitely agree in terms of like how they built in the world was more creative than Superman. I think for Superman though, like it would have been so hard to explain that world. I think
You're
any
right.
other
Like, it
way.
it it probably works for Superman, like, the you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the opening works for Superman, but I just mean visually, contextually, like, as I'm watching it, Fantastic Four just made me feel like, "Ah, yeah. Alright,
Mhm.
cool. Like, I'm catching this vibe, guys. Let's go," you know?
Oh yeah,
Easy to
and I
digest.
love how it was told too, because it felt like the fact they told it in the style of like if you were watching your television set in this world, they basically kind of it very much gave you that moon landing vibes, if that makes sense. Like in
Yeah.
terms of like how this is something you see like people coming together in their homes, because of course you don't have like internet or personal devices at this point. Every household has one TV if you're lucky. So you really get that vibe of the setting, and it's okay, so I don't know if I ever mentioned this on the show before, but there are times where I am kind of envious of certain time periods, not the 60s specifically, but I think about mostly kind of the 80s and then also like kind of 70s, in the sense of I kind of do wish I could have at some point lived in that time. Like I did a little bit in the 2000s, like obviously growing up we had one TV, one computer, but then I think that like the moment you get to the late 2000s, early 2010s, that's when it like kind of started to change, and then smartphones just became everywhere. But a part of me just kind of misses the days of like just like one TV, and wishes I could have been born a little bit earlier, so that way I could have had that more. And not because like I don't like having so many screens everywhere, but more just for the sense of it kind of having that one TV, and like going to movies being a completely different experience from watching TV, because the quality is so much different. It kind of just lets you appreciate what's given to you a little bit more, especially in terms of like going to the theaters. It makes you appreciate the theater experience a lot more. So a part of me kind of wishes I could have experienced that for a little bit longer than I actually have in my life. um but yeah, that all being said, I thought about what it must be like to witness big events like that, when you're with your family and you're watching it on such a bad quality TV, but the quality doesn't matter to you because what you're witnessing is something fantastic. And so the moon landing is one of those things that I think about, like what it must have been like to have like been in that time period, watching it, at home with everyone, witnessing like one of the most incredible moments in history, and that's the vibe that I get watching that opening scene from Fantastic Four. I think they
Yeah.
perfectly took that tone and used that as a great way to build the world of the universe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. Um But yeah, I mean, it's really, and then outside of that, like I talked about the themes for Fantastic Four, I think just hit me personally. Not that the idea of like, hope in humanity and stuff. Okay, like I get it. But I believe in that for sure, for sure. But it's just, I think it just hits me on a more personal level, the family
Oh yeah,
aspect of
especially
Fantastic Four a little bit more.
especially with you being a dad. I think one
Yeah.
thing that's, even though I'm definitely my fiance and I are obviously way past where like Clark and Lois were in their relationship. We we're still not quite married yet. We're not even sure honestly if we want to have a kid or not. But so because of that, it kind of like there were things I was looking at with Clark and Lois, especially like I was relating it to me and Megan like early on in our relationship, and there were just like a lot of relatable aspects to that. And I think like for you, what I'm assuming like was more relatable in terms of the family aspect is like you have a really young kid, and so you have that experience to you of like of your girlfriend giving birth to him, you being a dad, realizing how much your life is going to change. I think that was like more fresh on your mind, if I'm not mistaken. Like
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
want to make it seem like I'm
Oh,
putting in words for you. I'm just like
oh,
checking. Is that
yeah.
like the vibe that you got?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, like that the opening scene of the opening scene when we get to meet Reed and Sue for the first time, and that she reveals to him that they're pregnant. It just reminds me, it didn't happen exactly like that, but it definitely takes me back to my girlfriend revealing the news to me, sort of thing, in that manner. But I immediately fell in love with them in that first like 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes of the movie. Like they sold me on their sort of relationship and the idea of having a kid a little bit later. Like, is this what we asked for? Not really, but well, we're gonna treat it as like as a blessing, like it's, we had tried for so long, and then when we stopped trying, now it's kind of given to us. And then that, when it plops into your lap, take it. It's a blessing, and so to kind of see them navigate their world, it's like, man, I feel like I'm looking in the mirror almost. So it's kind of crazy. But yeah, and I think that's why movies are always just subjective, in the sense that every movie hits people a little bit differently. I really enjoyed Superman for what it was, and the relationship aspect between Lois and Clark really worked for me too.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, so I think Fantastic Four is just a lot more. I think for me, um, some of the things, okay, well, I guess for me, I was just gonna do the opposite side for Superman, in the sense of some of the things that just didn't work for me with Superman. I didn't necessarily think some of the humor hit all the time.
Mm.
Sometimes it kind of took me out a little bit. Maybe too many characters involved or trying to be involved. Um, honestly, and this might sound crazy to some people, the I don't know if the musical score hit me as much as I was hoping that it would.
Really?
There's some good moments in this movie. There are good moments in this movie, but I felt like it could have been better carried, honestly. I still have Hans Zimmer in my head, bro. I can't I can't get it out. Um, but yeah, it just didn't hit me the way that I wanted it to, unfortunately.
I think there were only a couple of times where, and I don't think the jokes ever took me out of the movie, but there were only a couple of times where I'm like, it's not even that I didn't like that they put a joke there, it's that I just wish the joke was better. Specifically, it was just like during the ending where, and it was only because I've seen these jokes so many times in so many other medias, but it was like specifically kind of towards the climax where it's Lois with the crew of the Daily Planet, and you have Steve Lombard, the joke being like, "Hey, I'm the tough jock. Oh, I'm the one who's crying the most during the climax, who's the most like, I want my mommy." And it's like, I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's just that I've seen that joke done so many times now. So it's just like, I wish they could have
Yeah.
done a little more of a twist on it. And then same with like, how many times have we seen this joke where, the ship's going down, "Ah," and then it comes right back up. It's just, again, they weren't bad enough to take me out of the movie, but they were noticeably like cliche, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
like there were times where I feel like other times where the jokes were absolutely great. I think that when
Yeah.
James Gunn is like working on original jokes, that's when the humor gets me. I think what worked, it's so funny, this is something that like a lot of people just not a lot, sorry, I've seen some people who critique this movie, and one of the things they say doesn't make any sense to them is they thought the tonal shift with his parents was the worst. That's what I have to majorly disagree on. I
Mm.
actually freaking love the way the parents are introduced, seeming super country, and so you're kind of like going into like watching them on screen with at least for
Does
me,
does Ma
I'm not gonna
does
lie, I was a bit of a judgmental mindset when I first saw the two of them on screen.
it's
um
like does Ma come across that way to you?
Yeah,
As
she like super country to the point where it's like cartoonish, but I'm like, okay, that's a little over the top. That's fine. But the moment where they like towards the end where they're very much, you see the more compassionate side of
Yeah.
them where it's like they're not there to be the butt end of a joke. I love that. I absolutely love that like kind of idea that you're looking at these characters who just in the back of your mind, because when you see that type of character archetype in other media, it's usually that they're always done like as a joke or as like a punchline or something like that, so you're not used to seeing like wisdom come from those type of characters. So I absolutely absolutely love that moment specifically with him and his dad, and it doesn't come from nowhere because, like, we obviously know because of who Superman is as a character, his parents had to be good at what they were doing. They had to, like, obviously be good parents for him to be the way that he is, and so you really get to see that play out during that amazing scene, I think, between him and his dad, like at the end. Like that scene definitely gives me like a little teary eye, like every time I rewatch that moment. Maybe it's because like the actor they got, Otis from The Walking Dead, does kind of remind me of my dad a little bit, not
Oh,
a lot, but like definitely has some aspects of my dad and him that I definitely saw during that scene. But yeah, like absolutely loved like that whole idea of like, you see them, your mind kind of wants to judge them at first, but then like, yeah, I love the fact that they both bring wisdom to Clark Kent at the end, and they help him, with his overall arc. So that's where I think the humor worked. The humor worked because it made me subliminally like prejudge the characters before we knew them, you know what I mean?
yeah, no, absolutely. And the Ma and Pa Kent theme definitely runs through this movie too. I love how at the beginning of this movie is Kal-El connecting with his parents from Krypton and that message, and then by the end of the movie, after understanding, realizing who he is sort of as a person, that he's not necessarily what his parents want him to be, that he can be his own person, and expressing who he is, as Kal-El. It's kind of cool to see by the end of this movie him realizing who his, I don't want to say his real parents, but the people that raised them and that have those values that he does, and to show appreciation to his real, his parents on earth by the end of this movie. I thought it was really cool. I thought that was really cool.
Yes, definitely.
um but yeah, we'll put Superman over the top for you.
Um, the thing that put it on top for me, man, I don't know if I could say there was like one specific thing. Uh, I don't know. I guess I
just
think
uh,
honestly it was just his
just how it made you
Superman
feel.
as a character. Yeah, him as a character, and the movie working, and with him, yeah. Superman as a character is what I'm going to go with.
I gotcha. All right. But yeah, man, look, I think we both walked away certainly enjoying both of these films for sure. But yeah, we'll see. Look, guys, we want to know your thoughts. At the end of now that July is officially wrapped up here, Superman's about to hit digital. We want to know what you guys took away from the month of July. What was the better film for you, Superman or Fantastic Four? We definitely want to know your thoughts. Stuart, real quick, best Superman movie?
Yes, I would definitely say so. Love the Christopher Reeve Superman movies. Two of the four Christopher Reeve Superman movies. But there are definitely like parts of both of them where I just don't think they hold up as much as I wish they did. And then Superman Returns. I gotta be honest, man. That movie did not hit me. Like when I watched it, I actually watched it really wanting to like it. I couldn't connect with it. I tried. I really tried. But I just didn't like, as much as I loved Brendan Ralph in Crisis on Infinite Earths when he came back as Superman. I wasn't in love with his Superman in that movie, to be honest. And Man of Steel, uh, right now, it's just okay, but every time I watch that movie, it gets worse, which is why I'm afraid of watching
Whoa.
it again. I want to stay at it being okay. I don't want to watch it
Yeah,
again and then like it even less and then have it be like, bad. So right now,
yeah,
it's just okay to me.
yeah. Don't watch it, Stuart. Don't watch
I
it.
won't. I'll keep it at
Um,
okay.
yeah, because I feel like if since you've seen this movie already so many times, I think, and you've seemingly fallen in love with this version, yeah, don't look back. Don't look back, Stuart. Um,
I'll remember Man of Steel as the movie that, stood up and walked a bit, but did that so that Superman could run and fly.
uh, yeah, I think Superman for me is my number two. Like Superman is my number two. I still got Man of Steel as number one for me.
Oh, that's
Uh,
totally fair.
but Superman is definitely number two. But Stewart, you know, box office doesn't determine pure enjoyment of movies and what movie is better than the other, but it does let us know how much these movies made. Um, I want to go ahead and talk real quick just about the box office. We gave predictions
Yeah.
before the month of July. Just to recap for people, we put in order, we ranked who we thought was going to make the most in the month of July when it comes to box office. Stuart, if I remember correctly, you had Superman at the top, uh, Fantastic Four, Jurassic World, correct?
Yeah, but then
Okay.
I think I regretted it immediately afterwards because I think it was Marcelino who let us know in the comments that the last Jurassic World movie made over 1 billion, and I did not realize that. But yes, that was my official order: Superman, Fantastic Four, and Jurassic World.
And I think I had Superman, Jurassic World, and Fantastic Four. So, what came in last place?
Fantastic Four did with 439 million and some change.
439 million. Now, to be fair, I know both of these movies are still in theaters, but they are coming close to their end run here. So, Fantastic Four probably is going to make a little bit more money here.
Yeah.
But as far as is it going to catch up to Superman at this point, I don't believe so. So it may Fantastic Four is going to end higher than what we have here, but it's not catching Superman at this point. Um, so for Fantastic Four, how much did you say it made?
It was 439 million and some change.
Okay. So I've heard some end results anywhere between maybe 500 million, 520 million, maybe. So we'll see. And then what came in second place, Stuart?
In second place was Superman at 583 millions and some change.
Yeah, I'm hearing that may end at maybe like 600,
Yeah,
maybe 620.
definitely under what I was predicting because I think if I remember correctly, I was predicting Superman would be 800 million. But I do hope it at least gets past 600 million. Not that I think it needs to. Like I would call this movie financially successful regardless of how much it makes at this point, how much more it makes at this point. But just because to make things nice and even, be nice if it went over 600 million.
Yeah, no, I went all in on Superman. I said a billion, baby. I was feeling really good about this. But times are different, man. A lot of things have certainly changed. But yeah, Superman, yeah, I'm hoping it at least makes 600 million. Yeah, I would agree. I think this is a success for the DCU though, overall. I think Warner Brothers walks away happy from this, if it's profitable, whether it breaks just barely breaks even, who knows? But I think you take this as a big win, and I think you take that money and you run with it immediately. Cash out, take that money, WB, and go do big things
Ooh.
with it. Um, because I think based off where the DCEU was and what Warner Brothers is now raking in for a Superman movie, the trust of audience members. Times have changed. It's hard to get people to come out to movie theaters to enjoy movies. When you have to repair something like that, I think nearly 600 million. My bottom line was just make more money than Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it unfortunately didn't do that. I think Man of Steel worldwide, I think worldwide, Man of Steel is 1, but I think domestically, Superman, might have more,
Yeah, you're you're
right?
you're right about that.
Like,
The other
domestically,
thing
right?
that surprised yeah, but the other thing that surprised me is I was looking at the numbers as I was about to go to Jurassic World. Domestically, Superman actually made more money than Jurassic World. It's
Mm.
worldwide that Jurassic World made over 800 million, so it made a lot more.
Ooh.
Um, if I had to guess,
So
I would
Jurassic
yeah.
World made number 1 worldwide? How much?
Yeah, it was, $801 million dollars, so not quite billion, but
Not quite a
yeah,
billion.
it still I would be shocked if this was the last Jurassic World movie, basically.
But number 1 domestically was what? Superman.
Superman, yeah,
How
compared to
much?
the other, Superman made 333 million, whereas Jurassic World only
Mm,
made 328 million.
alright,
Um,
nice.
I think it's just that, when it comes to like reaching worldwide numbers, the logic is the more giant monsters and giant robots you see, the less likely it is you're gonna have to read subtitles. So I'm assuming that might honestly have something to do with it. Whereas like yeah, if it's more people on the cover, more likely you're gonna have to do some reading.
Yeah, I heard what I was hearing was a lot of people view Superman as very Americanized,
Oh, and a lot
you
of
know?
people hate us right now, so that would also
Yeah.
make sense.
So, like, seeing this internationally worldwide, I think, other territories are not really having it right now.
Yeah.
But they came out for Jurassic World Rebirth though, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, so that was interesting. That's definitely not what we predicted, but interesting to kind of see it play out that way. Yeah, Jurassic World was a kind of a disappointment for me. It just felt very copy paste print with some really big names on it, and I didn't care for half the characters. It was just unfortunate, bro.
Yeah, I still haven't even you know what's funny? The only Jurassic World movie I saw in theaters was the first one. I haven't seen a single Jurassic World movie in theaters. I always
Really?
just wait for them to come out on DVD.
Okay, okay. Interesting take.
Yeah.
But all right, guys. Yeah, that's our final results here. Sorry, none of us got our predictions right. I thought somewhere deep in the archives, I thought I said at some point in time, I says we shouldn't be surprised though if Jurassic World Rebirth actually actually makes more than both of these two combined
Yeah.
in the world somewhere. But it's possible. But there you go. If anything, okay. Let me just ask you this, Stuart. All right,
Yes.
is this going the way of Transformers last night and like Fast and the Furious, or has Jurassic Park not hit their Fast and the Furious stage yet? Um, yeah. What do you think?
I would say more like Fast and the Furious. I think it's gonna, mostly because it's also been around since like I mean, technically the '90s, but also like early 2000s with Jurassic Park 3. So I'd say with how long it's been going on, I'd compare it more to Fast and Furious than I would Transformers. Mostly because even though I don't like the Jurassic World movies, I don't leave them thinking less of humanity and just wondering like how the hell these got funded. At least with the Jurassic World movies, I can still see how people go to see them.
Yeah, like I could see why this movie makes money. Like it's
Mhm.
really mediocre. It's at best. I might be too forgiving, but
Whereas like
it
if I see a movie like The Last Night, I'm just like, who the fuck funded this?
yeah, like I get it. I get it. But I'm just like, guys, are we just at the point of like we know we can just serve them dog shit and they'll just they'll just eat it and pay us money, or will like the next movie will suffer from this. Like the next movie is bringing in maybe 750, maybe 700 million, but it will be less than this. I
Yeah.
just wonder when they if this is their plan, you know? Like, come on, guys. Don't do that to me. Like, let's really think through something. But yeah, anyway. I'm excited for the future. We should all be very much excited. We got Supergirl coming up. We got Clayface coming up. Um, I'm trying to think they talking a lot about Batman right now, a lot of talk about Wonder Woman. So we also got Peacemaker coming up. So the DCU right now is full steam ahead. If you want to continue along with the DCU, the next project is Peacemaker season 2 in like a week's time. All right. So continue to follow the overall world if you want to. For Fantastic Four in the MCU. Oh, Stuart, no, never mind. We'll talk about that later.
Oh, what were
Um,
you gonna ask?
I was gonna ask about the Fantastic Four um post credit scene.
Oh, yeah, just I look forward to seeing what it all means. I mean, we have an idea of what it means. It means that Doctor Doom likely kidnaps Franklin, but curious to get like the backstory on that in the next movie.
Yeah, maybe that's what yeah, maybe Fantastic Four is chasing Doom down and that's how they all get involved.
Mm.
That'd be interesting. So yeah, next up we've got Doomsday, Avengers Dooms. Oh no, we've got Spider-Man Brand New Day. Sorry. Spider-Man Brand New Day just kicked off filming production. That's going to be dropping 2026 for you guys. In July if I'm not mistaken or sometime early right? Am I tripping?
I think it was July, if I'm not mistaken.
2026. And then we've got Avengers Doomsday later that year, and then Avengers Secret Wars. So Marvel Universe right now, also Marvel Cinematic Universe is also riding a wave of positivity. Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, here we come, baby. I think this is almost $1 billion in the bag. But who knows? Who knows? We'll see if quote unquote Marvel fatigue or comic book movie fatigue bites Spider-Man.
We'll know for sure. I don't think Spider-Man will be the determining factor. I think the real determining factor is going to be Avengers Doomsday. If this movie does if this movie doesn't break at least 800 million, I'm going to say yeah, it's definitely superhero fatigue.
Spider-Man?
No, Avengers
Oh,
Doomsday.
Avengers
Only because
Doomsday.
like it's like it is Doomsday. It's Avengers, you know. Like these were the movies that would like sell out before the moment the tickets went on sale. So if you don't get that for Avengers Doomsday, then it's like,
Bro.
yeah,
People are
I
gonna
can,
come out. People are gonna come out.
yeah.
People are gonna come out.
Yeah, well, I'll see. I'm going to be honest. I don't know when it comes to the MCU anymore. That's not to say that I think the MCU is dying, and I don't think I don't think they're going to like. I still think individual movies are going to do just fine. I just don't know if people are as hyped for Avengers movies as they were 10 years ago. But we'll have to wait and see.
You might be right, unless it's another zeitgeist moment, and it's like if it's an Avengers movie, you gotta be there.
Yeah.
You just gotta be there to experience it. But a lot has changed, man. A lot has changed. But that's the momentum. Fantastic Four, Superman, y'all did y'all did y'all thing. Kudos to both of you for being great movies this summer. But all right, Stuart, that's gonna be it for us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll probably be back later this weekend for another live episode of A Plus Hero Report Sunday at 11 a.m. Central Time. Watch us then. But until then, do us a big favor, as always, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A plus. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.